How's it going, guys? I just want to do this quick video on my 2023 C8 Z51 70th anniversary here. I bought some parts recently from Extreme Online Sports. So anybody, who's in the market for getting some aftermarket stuff on their C8 and is kind of, cruising the websites like I was, not really knowing which sites are worthy of buying from or what kind of quality you're going to get for the money you're spending. And there are a lot of them out there. I know when you're starting to look, I thought this would be like maybe a helpful video to see sort of what you're going to get with like maybe one of the lesser expensive options you can go with. So if you've looked, Extreme Online Sports or Extreme Online Store, sorry, has some of the cheaper stuff compared to like Paragon or, ACS Composite or some of the other ones. And so I rolled the dice. I thought, you know what, I'll try it, see how it turns out. It is a lot cheaper and whatever. I bought a bunch of stuff. I bought 5 things from them. I bought Z06 front lip. I bought the Z06 side skirts. I bought the the splash guards. And I bought the rear wickers. And I bought the rear diffuser sections right there. So this video is not going to show you install. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about the install, but I more or less wanted to talk to you about what I thought, quality wise, these parts, if they lived up to the money that you're paying for them, or if they were lacking in some ways, which they were. So spoiler alert. But so I'll just get into it. The first thing here, the splitter I put on. The paint is supposed to all be carbon flash metallic. All the parts I ordered in carbon flash metallic, right? And so they did have varying, I guess I'd say, levels of paint for each part that showed up. This front splitter had the least amount of carbon flash metallic looking paint. This looks way more, gloss black to me. They did have a little bit of flake in it, not a lot. So, I was okay with it. It wasn't bad. The fitment of it was perfect. Like it bolted right up with the factory screws, and the factory Z51 splitter is real cheap, kind of generic plastic. This thing looks way nicer than the factory one. And I did go with the one that does not have the canards on the side here. They do have the ones that have, the canards kind of come up here. They want you to drill into the bumper. I did not want to do that. So I just got the one that did not have the canards, which I think looks, really nice. It did show up with weird paint kind of flaws. Underneath this, where you can't see where it mounts up to the front bumper, are a ton of runs in the paint. Alarming amounts where I don't even know who was painting this or how they didn't notice what they were doing, but there's a ton of paint runs. I didn't really care. It's underneath where you can't see it. It's bolted up, to the front bumper. So whatever, it didn't matter to me. The visible stuff was all kind of, just kind of scuffy, kind of imperfections, maybe from shipping, whatever, handling in the factory in China, wherever it's made. I took a, rubbing compound, buffed it all out, polished it all out. It actually turned out fine. It looks good. It's nice and glossy. It's fine. So B- overall for the refinishing. But yeah, it works. So if you're willing to put a little, elbow grease into it, I think it's totally a usable and good part. It's probably a gamble. Some people, they show up perfect. Some shows up not so perfect. So just be willing to work on it a little bit, I guess. I will say too, one thing to note, this thing is low. So you can see there's not a lot of clearance there. It's at least 1.5 inches lower, I'd say, than the factory Z51 splitter. This has the front nose lift in it. So, when I back it on my driveway, I have to use the nose lift on this to keep it from scraping. I did not have to do that with the Z51 factory splitter. So something to note, if you don't have the lift in yours, just be prepared that this thing might scrape if you don't come in at a hard 45 on any kind of incline. Most people with vets know to come in at a 45, but whatever. Just thought I'd make note of that. So also this is about 300 bucks. I think it was like I think spot on 300, 299 maybe. Anyway, so Z06 side skirts. Actually, you know what, before I do that, the splash guards, I'll just go kind of in a row here. The splash guards, these are like one of the most expensive things. For a set of 4 was like 310 bucks. The carbon flash paint on these though is actually legit. It does look like carbon flash metallic. It matches the factory stuff really nice. They installed really nice. There was no blemishes or problems with these that I recall. It was easy to put them in. There's just one screw on the bottom and then it just pops right in with clips. And then they're tight. I mean, it's, you know, it doesn't seem like there's a lot holding them on, but no problem as far as, you know, structurally sound, and they feel like they aren't going anywhere. So, and they definitely kick out a good, like, 2.5 inches maybe further than the factory. So they are absolutely going to protect the side of this car from rocks and stuff. And with these tires that they put on the Z51s, these super soft, you know, summer tires, these things grab every rock and throw it everywhere. So definitely worth getting, you know, some kind of extra splash shields on yours if you can. The next thing here, I got the Z06 side skirts to match the front lip, and together I think they look awesome. You know, it kind of turns this Stingray into more of a Z06 looking vibe. People mistake this for a Z06 too because it's got the 70th anniversary badge, which sort of looks like it says ZO on it. And so a lot of times people look at this thing and they kind of second guess if it's a Z06 or not. Obviously, you know, the Z06 has the different, you know, intake here where it kind of flares back, but it definitely gives it an aggressive look, and it does look nice. These things showed up a little goofy. This little corner back here, it looked like it had been dropped on it, and it was like kind of like bent over, which immediately I'm like, well, that's not gonna work. But I took a heat gun to it and the sucker straightened right out and it looks perfect. So whatever, you know, again, if you're willing to, you know, put a little effort into making them look nice, then they're going to be good and usable. So the paint on it, not bad. It's, again, probably their weakest point of their parts is their refinishing. It's got some bit of waviness to it. I don't know. You can kind of see it if I move the camera a little bit. It's a little wavy in spots. I did buff the hell out of this thing and polish it out and got all the, you know, sort of imperfections that would come out off of it. It looks pretty good. It's like a solid B+, A-, I'd say. And certainly looks, you know, nice on the car. I did not screw this into the bottom. You got an option to screw it in. It's got holes and the directions say to screw it in. I did not do that. I did not want to drill into the bottom of this body. So you can see the screw holes there. I did not want to do that. I wanted to actually save the body. So I used 3M tape instead. And I used a large amount of it kind of along the side here. And it held great. Underneath, I used a huge, thick type of 3M tape. All of it held really good, and it's solid right now. And so I'm gonna just let it ride for now, see if I can get it, or I'm sorry, see if it holds up. And you know, if it feels like it's loosening up, maybe I'll screw it in. But for now, you know, it's not gonna get driven in bad weather or winter or anything. So I think this is gonna hold up just fine. All right, so the next thing, I've got the wickers. These were probably the cheapest thing I got. These were $160, and again, carbon flash metallic. The paint on these was pretty good. Not a lot of blemishes or anything. I polished them out just because I polished everything out just to give it a good shine. And then I actually ceramic coated everything too. But you know, these things fit really nice. The only complaint I had about these was, so they got these rivets. You do have to drill into the bottom of the wing. I did use a bunch of 3M tape as well, but I think with the downforce you might get at high speeds, I think these will take more wear on the 3M tape and have more pressure against it than some of the other parts will. So I did, you know, follow the instructions. I did drill in to the spoiler, and I did put in the rivets. You know, it's not the body, it's just the spoiler. People change out spoilers all the time, so I was okay doing that. One of the rivets, this guy over here, for whatever reason, would not seat. There's something goofy with the rivet, and I ended up having to get a different rivet altogether. I matched it up, it looked fine. So I put in a new rivet I bought, and it was spot on, it worked fine. So whatever, just one bunk rivet they sent. Other than that, I think I like the look of them. They look, you know, nice. The paint was pretty good on them. So those I'll give a positive review on. The bottom here, I've got the diffuser fins that you can get. These, I want to say, were about like right around 300, between 250 and 300. And so these, the paint on them was actually good. I didn't have to do anything to clean these up. I did still, you know, buff them out and polish them, but they looked good straight from the factory. The fit, they're kind of goofy. So they followed the contour of the bumper, but you can sort of move them left and right however you want. And so, I don't know, when you move them around, they sometimes fit better or sometimes fit worse, and you sort of have to, you know, mess with them and monkey with them to get them so that they fit tight against the bumper. And so what I ended up with is this, where the two in the middle are sort of, you know, they've sort of got a little more of a V to them, and then the outer ones are a little more straighter. They're still symmetrical, and this was how I got them to fit the tightest. I did not put the screws. They want you to feed screws through the screen. It is impossible to get your hand up or any kind of tool really behind that screen with the factory exhaust installed. This has got the performance exhaust. I think that even the stock exhaust, just the normal one, you're not going to be able to get anything up there. Or if you can, you've got a lot skinnier hands than I do, and even trying to get just a tool up there, it was not easy. So to try to feed a screw into the back of these things was, you know, it just wasn't going to happen. But the bottom, the way they screw into this plastic piece under here, it's so tight, it holds them really, you know, they're really rigid just with those screws into them. So I just use 3M tape, you know, like at the mount points where they're kind of coming in contact with the bumper, and they're tight. I mean, they're not moving at all. I'll keep an eye on them if I feel like they are loosening or something, you know, whatever. I can always add more 3M tape or, you know, do something different. But for now, I think they're fine. So again, you know, not bad. Overall, you know, I guess to recap, I think the parts are worth the money you're paying for them, but don't think they're going to show up flawless. You know, you're going to probably have to buff some stuff out. You're probably going to have to, you know, do a little tweaking or a little, you know, work yourself. There's no instructions that come with this stuff. I take that back. One of the things had instructions. I think it was the front lip had instructions with it. The rest of the stuff just was in a box, you know, nothing telling you what to do. So just be prepared to, you know, think outside the box and do your own sort of body work on this stuff to make it work and make it look nice. But if you do that, I think it is a good value for this stuff. It's not as high quality as what you're going to get from some of those other manufacturers or those other sites, Paragon and ACS and whatever else, but you're going to save yourself a ton of money probably buying all this stuff. If you were to buy all this stuff from those sites, you know, you're going to pay at least double for all of this stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's my 2 cents. I'd definitely buy this stuff again. And, you know, hopefully this video might help somebody who's on the fence on whether or not, you know, they should buy this stuff or if it looks cool or whatever. To me, in my opinion, you know, this thing looks badass. So I think it complements, you know, the colors and the sides, you know, really nicely. You know, the interior looks just dope on these things. Especially the 70th anniversary, the color scheme they did on these were just badass. That pearl metallic white they put on it, god dang, so good. So anyway, I'll stop oozing over the car. But there you go. You can post any questions and happy to answer them. All right, have a good one.